We on?
What's that? Yeah.
Oh, Gardner City Council will come to order. If you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. We have no presentations this evening, so we will go straight to public comment. Anyone who wishes to comment on an item that does not appear on the agenda or an item that is on the agenda, not part of a public meeting, may come forward and comment at this time. That being the case, we will move on to the consent agenda. How would council like to proceed with the consent agenda?
I'd like to remove item 2.
How would council like to proceed with item 1 of the consent agenda?
I move we approve item 1 on the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion Harrison, second Gregorczyk, that we approve item 1 on the consent agenda. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
I just had 2 questions. I forgot to send these through via email, but on one of the expenditures, it lists Texas Roadhouse, $500, and it just says food. I'm just wondering if we could get, in the future, a few more nouns and verbs in there to figure out what the food was for.
I believe, not having that in front of me, but it sounds like it was probably the catering fee for the daddy-daughter.
Okay.
All.
It was.
Okay. So does that come from, I mean, you submit those to Laura and then she prints this out, or how does it enter, I guess? Because I've seen a couple of these.
This is entered through payables, and I do not. It's entered through Debbie Goods and through payables. And there's not a lot of characters in the field. It could have said food for daddy-daughter ball or something.
Right, but I mean,
Actually cost her to say a little more.
Yeah, if we could just get
Sure.
more information, because I mean, there's obviously some spaces left on that one.
Sure.
And then, on one of them, Deborah Hickman, desserts and punch, $368. I'm just to know,
Same.
what was the same deal? Okay.
It was an event, and Jeff pays for it out of his event.
Just so I don't have to ask, and if we could just get those.
Sure.
All right,
I
thanks.
think so.
Okay.
I move that we approve consent agenda item number 2. Second.
Motion Freeman, second Morrow, that we approve consent item number 2. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. New business item number 1. Consider passing ordinance number
2423.
2423, adopting the latest versions of the international codes with amendments. David.
Good evening. This item was discussed at length at the work session. If you have any questions, either Mike Hall or Jerry Mallory would be happy to ask them or answer them. Otherwise, we'd recommend approval.
Council, any further questions regarding this matter?
I guess I do have one question. Do we ever find out what the true cost of 2x6 construction is? I mean, I know we heard from $1,500 to, I think he said $10,000.
The best until you've got, on one hand, talking to Jerry today, on one hand you have the Department of Energy saying it's $3,000 for an average house, and you have, on the other hand, some of the home builders saying it's $20,000. The true cost is somewhere in between.
I move that we pass ordinance number 2423, adopting sections 15.05, 15.15, 15.25, 15.30, 15.40, 15.45, and 15.50 of the Code of the City of Gardner, Kansas, with an implementation date of April 1st, 2013.
Second.
Motion Freeman, second Harrison, that we pass ordinance 2423. Freeman.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Gregorsic.
Yes?
Palovich.
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes.
2423 passes.
Mayor, excuse me, who was the second?
Harrison.
Like, Commissioner Recorsick, and I
It was a
like-
tie.
Okay. Thank
Ladies
you.
first.
New business item number 2, consider authorizing the purchase of a 3/4 ton 4x4 pickup truck from Shawnee Mission Ford for the Operations Division of Public Works. David?
Good evening. This is a truck is used by the lead maintenance worker for the line crew. It's also used as a plow truck, one of our 6 light trucks we use for snow plowing. The truck is a 2003, has 107,000 miles on it. The total cost to outfit the truck will be about $24,800. The budget is $25,000. The truck itself can be purchased through the Mid-America Regional Council joint purchasing. The total cost from the dealer, which is Shawnee Mission Ford, would be $21,900. The current truck is used daily. As I mentioned before, it's one of the 6 public works trucks that are outfitted with a plow and sander. The value of the truck is about $3,000. Currently, it's experiencing rust. It has a tired engine. The transmission is slipping. The front end is worn and will require basically replacement. Plow duty is very hard on trucks. As I said, the estimated cost is about $3,000. If you look at the front end and the transmission, there alone, you're looking at about $4,000 worth of repairs just to start, without getting into the rust issues. That I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, the 118 hours of staff time and the $6,700 that have been spent, what time period has that been over?
That's basically since the truck started. So I think the thing to really look at is what's the cost to keep this thing running versus what have we spent keeping it running. I mean, a lot of that's normal wear and tear, but at this point, you're reaching the law of diminishing returns. As I say, maybe you could auction it for $3,000, but, we've identified the the transmission and the front end for sure. This truck had some front end work done in '06, which was about $1,500. Be about the same level of service needed.
What's the plan then for the existing, what we're replacing, the 2003, number 505?
What we do, we just auction it off.
Just auction it off?
Yeah. We use the Gov Bids. It's a online service.
Does that money go back into the budgets
It'll be
where
go-
the expenditure came from?
Correct.
Okay.
In this case, it would go back into it'd be split into the utility funds.
So there is a certain amount of offset then from the sale of the vehicle, so.
Right.
What is it worth, do you think?
The staff is estimating around $3,000 with its
Oh,
condition.
I'm sorry, exceeds 3,500, okay.
And then the fuel cell and the snowplow, those are gonna be refitted. What's the value of that if we had to purchase that as an example?
I'm going to shoot from the hip on the
That's fine.
light plows. I think they're around $3,500, $4,000.
Okay?
Fuel cell, I'm sorry to say, I can't really give you an intelligent guess. Joyce?
About 350 for the fuel cell.
Well, how long would it last if we put $5,000 in it? I mean, you're talking about a new transmission, that'll go another 100,000 miles, I would guess?
Well, if it was your or my truck, maybe that's something we'd consider, but once again, if it goes down, we are trying to provide service. We're trying to keep, in this case, really shows up when we're plowing. Case in point, the last storm, on the first day of the second storm, we had all 3 of our dump trucks stuck, and we had only 2 small plows running with breakdowns. So, it's a gamble.
Gamble I'm not willing to take.
Well, I know the plowing's hard on a vehicle. It
Mhm.
really is a stressor on the vehicle. It's not like, just normal duty of a 4x going through snow. so that is it is a concern.
But it's assumed that $5,000 brings it up to serviceable use again. I mean, it is, you don't predict anything else to go wrong with it.
I can't tell you.
Well, I know, but I'm saying $5,000 basically fixes everything that's wrong with it and probably has a couple, 3 years left in it of its life then, when you